How you doing, everybody? Thanks for joining us today for another Rolling Over the Hill right here on the Live to Roll channel. And thanks to all of you for being part of the Live to Roll family. Before we get started, let's thank our sponsors, mobility professionals and urology professionals. They're a great and helpful group of experts that are very much part of our community and can help you with all your mobility and rehab equipment as well as urology needs. So a big thanks to them for sponsoring Live to Roll. On today's show, we will be talking about movies, documentaries, and shows that depict the impact on personal lives and society, people with disabilities. Please make sure to include your questions, comments, and views in the chat, and don't forget to hit that like button. How you doing, everybody? I'm Robert Soto. I'm a T12 spinal cord injury from a motorcycle racing accident back in 1974. Let's get started. Chad will be joining us in a couple weeks, so we'll get started with Bobby and Paul. Paul, what's going on?
Hey, good to see everybody. Glad to be here today. I missed the last one, so I'm awesome to be back. My name is Paul, C56 quad. Been sitting on wheels for 40 plus years, I guess. Looking forward to today's show and getting people involved and some feedback about what they've seen and enjoyed with some of these movies we're talking about too. Over to you, Bobby.
Are you plus? Are you in the plus?
40 plus. Well, I'll be 41 this year in July.
Okay, so you're not plus yet. Almost.
Well, okay, 40. Yes, we'll keep
and
it 40.
almost.
Oh,
I'm like, wait, when did that happen? All right, I'm Bobby Rohan. I'm C56 quadriplegics, plegics. I have been hurt 36, almost plus next month.
So what do we have together? Let's see. How many? 100, 125.
Wait, we got 50, 40. That's what, 70? Wait, no, that's not
90. It's 90. Yeah, 90.
Wow.
126, 127, 127, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Not bad, huh?
Yeah, for us old geezers.
Yeah.
Man, that's going to be a good show, guys, because we're talking movies. We're Siskel and Ebert, right? The movie critics, thumb up. They were the thumbs up, thumbs down, or were they popcorn? Yeah, we can't. Thumbs up. And it looks like I even have a finger that's getting involved.
Yeah.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Man, we suck. But it's movie time, and this is it's funny. This is a fun subject to talk about. We're we get on here, we're talking about aging with a disability, and not this month, but next month, or not this episode, but next episode, we're going to talk about a conference. The four of us, with Chad not being here, but we were at a conference all day on Saturday. Luckily, it was online because it was a lot cheaper and a lot easier to get to. Yeah. And talking about aging with disability, and man, we didn't. A little disappointed. So we're going to talk about that on our next show. Welcome in, Ben. Fist bump back to you. Mickey's in the house, and Grandma's in the house. So, but we're talking movies today. We're going to talk about something fun. I don't know. Over the years, we've all seen movies, people in chairs, and I'm going to tell you something funny. I know there was that movie, and we'll talk about it later, that you were in, Bob, but
yeah,
I don't think I ever saw a movie, and mine was 89, of anybody in a chair or had something to do with a chair. And there was a couple out there, not many, like it is today. Obviously, documentaries were, not anything on the spectrum back in 89, but I don't think What's that?
There was one show, but I think it might have been in the 70s.
A documentary?
No, a TV show with a guy in a chair. Well, I don't know if he was really in a chair. I mean, I've only seen clips. It's called Ironside.
Oh yeah, with Raymond. Raymond. Was it Raymond Burr?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was Ironside. He was an He was he had a sidekick. Yeah, I remember that. Ironside. In fact, some of the guys when I used to work used to call me Ironside, and that showed how old they were. Hey,
Ah.
Ironside. Yeah, Ironside.
Oh, funny. But now we see it all the time, or seeing
Yeah,
more of it. We should be seeing it.
yeah.
And I'm gonna, and I know it's early on. We're gonna get more people, and so we'll shout out this at the end. But man, if you want to see some, good things on film or on YouTube right now, go to the Easter Seals uh, channel. They're having their film festival, Easter Seals Film Festival, and man, there are like almost like 50 or 70 films out there that people have done all in chairs. It's just they're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So Mickey, I know you're in the hospital. Go to those. Actually, Mickey told me, and I did see Mickey, Danny's. We have a friend, Danny, that I saw his, and that was pretty good. So check those out. But we're talking films today, and we're going to talk some film. We're going to talk about documentary. So let's just dive right into it and start talking. Paul, you got your list there, and I don't know if you want to start first and tell us why you picked this film, and then we'll do documentaries, and then we got some honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions, yeah. I just looked at the chat there. Mickey said she was asked to be an advisor on Ironside. There you go, Mickey.
Oh, there, yeah.
Yeah, it was on. It was on for 8 seasons. Ironside.
Yeah.
Woo.
I remember the van. He had a van with the lift in it
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. All right. There was a few movies I picked. There was a ton to pick from. Some of the ones that I was more familiar with or had seen or heard about. The first one was called The Best of Men. Now, this is a movie that it had one fella in it that was actually a paraplegic. There was other actors in it that were not spinal cord injured, but they portrayed people with spinal cord injuries. And it's a story about Dr. Gutman. Dr. Gutman was a neurosurgeon from Germany who went to Stoke Mandeville and is really the reason why we have the Paralympics. He was the one who started it. Paralympic Games, it started with the Stoke Mandeville Games in England. And he was a doctor at the Stoke Mandeville Hospital. And it's a really interesting movie, historical movie, I guess, about that short period of time, about 4 or 5 years there. Doesn't really go much past that. When Dr. Gutman was taking over the rehab unit and really shaping what rehab looks like the way it looks today. Back in the day, I know they talk about it in the show about physiotherapy being very passive, and he changed that to being very active. Got all these young soldiers that were coming over. They would actually come over after war. They would come in coffins filled with sand, and their life expectancy was 6 weeks. And he changed that. He changed all of that. He got them up and moving, playing different sports. They started with things like badminton and archery. He eventually got into basketball. I think they might have done some tennis in there. But he met a lot of resistance by the other professionals. It's a really, I don't know, I just found it to be a really interesting, good show. I really recommend it.
Because it's a true story too. That's
Yeah, yeah.
great.
Based on a true story, exactly, yeah. And you can find it on YouTube. The whole movie is actually on YouTube. And you can find it on there. I don't know. Will we be able to put the link like that up in the bottom of the show after?
Because we have so many movies, I don't think we will. So basically, you're seeing this, write it down.
The Best of Men.
There you go.
If you do a search for The Best of Men, you got to find the right one because there's a few different things that do pop up. But you're looking for the one about Dr. Gutman.
Well, and if you're Googling, I would Best of Men Paralympics. There you go. Boom.
There you go. Yeah.
We can find it. Come on.
Another one that I really enjoyed was one called The Untouchables, which was, and I know, Robert, you're going to talk a little bit about The Upside, I believe. And The Untouchables was the original version of The Upside. This is a French movie. I don't know if I ever saw it in English. I don't know French. It's dubbed, so you got to read it. I was sure I saw it in English somewhere, but I couldn't find it when I was looking there the other day. But it's also based on a true story about a very wealthy man who became a quad, and he was looking for a caregiver and went through all the channels looking for a caregiver, and he found this fella who was, I don't, he was kind of a down and out fella that didn't have a lot of skills, but was just kind of willing to learn. Um, and it kind of goes through some of their trials and tribulations. Very much, I mean, like I said, it's based on the upside. It's kind of the North American version in English. But yeah, it's a really good show too. I'd recommend that one. I kind of liked The Untouchables better than The Upside, and I don't really have a reason for that. I don't know why. They're both very good movies. So that
You,
was two
you know
that
what?
I.
You know what's funny about aging though too? I don't mind reading subtitles anymore. And I don't know, maybe it's because of Netflix and you get it. There's some
Yeah, well, you could, if you
movies.
didn't catch that line though, you can rewind it.
Well,
You
yeah,
go to the movies,
yeah, that one
that's
now,
all.
and now we have subtitles at the bottom,
Yeah,
even for us English. Like, wait, what did he say? Because
yeah, and you
now
can rewind it.
mumbling is okay in films, but I don't
Yeah,
mind it as much anymore.
and I agree too. And I find some of the films have some strong accents that I've
Yeah,
missed.
yeah. If
Yeah.
anybody's ever watched Blinders, holy
Yeah.
crap! Like, and it's supposed to be English, but you're like, what the?
And the third movie that I picked was one called Come As You Are. And I'll be straight up, Barb, my wife found this one. I didn't even notice it, but I haven't seen it, but I was watching the trailers for it last night, and it looks hilarious. It's about three, and I think it's based on a true story. About three fellas, they all have disabilities. One fella's blind, the other one has cerebral palsy, and the third one has a spinal cord injury. And they go on a road trip. These are all young guys, and they're looking for sex. And they find some ad, or somebody tells them about an ad about a brothel in Montreal, and it's run by a fella in a chair. And you come, and they'll serve you. So these guys go on this road trip in this van to Montreal, Canada, to this brothel. And I don't know. It just looks like a kind of a comedy drama fun movie. To be honest, I haven't seen it, so I can't really tell you if it's good or not. But I want to see it.
Let, so, do you know what streaming it is on?
Uh, it's in Canada. It's on Prime right now,
Okay,
so it might be Prime
I
down there.
think I think I've caught that one before. Just
yeah,
stuff that
I think
I liked it. I think from what I remember, I just that I forget about a lot of these movies.
Yeah,
I
this one was older too. Like I think this one
Yeah,
was, I want to say 2020, maybe even earlier.
Oh, that's not old to me.
yeah.
Anything to me, 2020 is like still new. Like I don't know why.
It's COVID era.
Yeah,
Maybe it was earlier than
like and because we get a grace for 3 years of COVID, it's like, oh, that was like yesterday.
that.
um, it's funny about this movie picture poster. I got two things. One, that quad looks like a quad. I know there's no actor that would hold his hand or his joystick like that. That is like
You
that's
know
how he
what?
learned to drive, and it looks like he is really a quad. So
He
lucky,
is. Okay, he is really a quad, but that's the guy with cerebral palsy. But he's a
oh
CP quadriplegic, but he really does have CP.
yeah, okay, yeah, he totally like so that's a plus. Number two,
Yeah,
I think I
yeah.
want that van. You remember those? I
Yeah. Oh, I
those
want that
old
bad
van.
so bad.
You
I
remember
had one.
those vans were plush inside with carpet
Oh
on
yeah.
the
Oh,
Yep.
wall and cup like original cup holders in the back. Like you don't
yeah.
see vans like that anymore.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I
I
had
was
one.
like
Yeah.
really looking at this poster, going, think I think I want that van. Like
and a road trip in a
pretty
van
cool.
like that is just fun, man. You just
Mhm.
cruise. You just coast down the highway. You got tons of room.
Oh yeah, you remember the beds used to because my best friend's mom had one of these, and that thing would flap into a bed.
or a couch or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you wanted. And then you remember the captain's chairs,
Yeah,
in the
Absolutely.
middle. So
Well,
and they
that's,
yeah,
you know, what's funny? It's funny because when I got my van and they charge you what, $5,000 nowadays for a swivel seat. I remember we had those and it was all manual and stuff. It was
yeah, it was
fine,
just
but now
like you lifted a
yeah,
handle like you would on a
yeah, a
boat,
little lever at the bottom. Yeah, and you just swivel it. Yeah, I mean, it was easy. Now they
like your
charge you.
office chair. Yeah.
Yeah, now they charge you $5,000 for they put one of those in a car.
yeah, great big things, and then tables in them, and
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
lights. My kids, the last one I had was a 2002, I think, a Chevy, and it was all plush, and it had the lights inside. The kids used to call them
Oh,
the
Yeah,
twinkle
had the
lights.
running lights.
Yeah, I like one the
inside.
inside. The kids called them the twinkle lights. Ah, they were
Yeah,
fun though.
yeah. Those were,
All right, so
yeah,
that's
that was
your
fun.
movies, right, Paul?
Yeah, that's were the three kind of my top three I had. Yeah, so,
How about you,
yeah,
Bob? Let's go to you.
Okay, mine are kind of more mainstream movies, and I think I went with a little bit of my what was going on with me at the time, because I have the movies that I have are all kind of dealing with just pretty much what a lot of these films that you look at with people with disabilities and stuff like that. A lot of them are overcoming adversity, personal growth and transformation, human connection and support, activism and social change, and emotional depth and reflections. Okay, so that's just the top layer of all these movies have that in them somewhere. Where
Talk about
and these
doing
guys,
your
most of
homework.
yeah, I did wrote my notes. So the first one I'm starting out with is a film that came out in 1975, and it was a true story about a skier. Her name was Jill Kimmon, and she was very competitive. I think she was going to do the Olympics, or was. I didn't really get too much in her background. I just was trying to refresh my memory on the movie, and so they came out in 1975, and she was in a skiing accident and became a quadriplegic, high level quad,
Wait, what
and
movie is it?
over the other side of the mountain.
Thank
other
you.
side of the mountain. I remember
I
that
Yeah,
couldn't
movie.
find it. I knew I had the
yeah.
poster.
So the thing is like when you're reading it or looking up the information on it, they kind of was the era of love story, and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of romance, a little cheesiness in there, but it is poignant in there because the fact is that people really didn't understand uh, her. Like she had a relationship going, and that she was in the hospital going through all the therapy. And what kind of I can relate to is they showed the gyms, the therapy that were all doing the rehab, and all the equipment in there I recognized. I mean, they were just like pretty primitive, but it was still the stuff that I could relate to. And that was one of the first things that I ever saw a movie that had anything to do with disability, let alone spinal cord, right? So, and I like it because it's a true story, but there's a lot of her what she goes through, and all the ups and downs, obviously. But one of the connections in there was she had a boyfriend before, so he came to visit her, and she had been working really hard at her therapy and all that. And she went through her ups and downs. And at the beginning, she said she was going to walk. She was an athlete. She came from that mentality, and she's going to walk. I mean, there was no doubt about it in her mind. And so her boyfriend came to see her, and he was a skier and all that. And so she goes, "Okay, I got something to show you." And she's really all happy and stuff like that. And so he sits down, watches her, and the expectation for him is that she was going to walk to him. But what she did was get her. There was a bowl of potato chips in front of her, and she was able to get into the bowl, spilling all these chips, but to pick one chip out without breaking it. And she's all happy. And he goes, "Aren't you going to walk?" And so, the emphasis was put on, and this was, like I said, coming from 1975. So you figure a lot of stuff that was happening was Vietnam. A lot of these guys are coming back, but you kind of feel good for her, especially with what we're going through. And then he's just like all disappointed, and it just shatters her.
Mhm.
So it's an old
Oh,
movie.
yeah. Talk
Uh,
about a heart jerker, man. Whew.
well, you know what? It's just that compared to some of the movies you see now, because they do so many different things in there with special effects. But this is pretty much a
You,
movie. It's a
uh,
movie with
with the
with
actress,
the with
the actress wasn't a quad though at that time, right?
no. So the thing is, it's worth seeing. Like I said, just um, because it was one of the first of the movies. I mean, I know there's probably ones before that, but for me, that I got out of the hospital in '74, and this came out in I think before the summer of '75 or somewhere around there. So it was
I,
pretty. You know,
I remember
was
seeing
that?
that. I saw that
Yeah.
movie before I was hurt. Like that was a mainstream movie.
Yeah,
So
definitely. In fact, a lot of what I have here is pretty much mainstream movies, but it was good. I really like it. It's worth watching. Especially with me, what we know now, what we've gone through, and a lot of people out there that might be watching never even heard of it sometimes because it's 50 years old.
And
So
her
I
story is kind of like the, isn't it Joni Atada or Joni Erickson? Johnny Erickson. Joni Erickson.
well, it's Jill Kinmont is the character
Right.
she's playing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think it was. I think they had a similar, uh, because they were both skiing, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, yeah. Well,
And
so
she has a movie.
yeah, and so it ends pretty much with her hooking up with another character, which is played by I think it's Beau Bridges or one of them. But
Yeah,
he's a kind of a guy that's pretty wild, but and it doesn't bother her, and he gets her out of her shell, and it's good. It's worth watching. It's an old movie, but definitely worth watching.
yeah.
So yeah, so that was one of my picks, and let's see, I got a couple other ones here. We talked about the upside, the Untouchables, and then the upside. Upside was more like a comedy drama. Again, it's just developing the relationships, what this wealthy quadriplegic goes through, and um, his caregiver trying to get him out, like get him on a date and things like that. And it's just all the emotions, getting over the adversity, and it's just worth watching. Like I said, I've never seen the Untouchables. I watched the Upside, and I like the comedy drama thing because it's just not all to the heart, but it's still dealing with your emotions. So that one is I
I
always kind of
have a,
enjoyed that movie.
I have a love hate for this movie. I
Why is
love.
that?
I loved all the, Bryan Cranston. You can't beat him, right? Kevin Hart,
Yeah, yeah.
Nicole Kidman. Always, you know, a winner in all of our eyes.
Oh
But
yeah, yeah,
it was a money grab of a rewrite from a French movie, like what Paul brought in,
yeah, yep.
and it just made me mad that in this day and age we could have found a quad, an actual quad.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
That's
I
the
agree with
only
that.
thing that makes me mad about this one, was that I just thought they could have brought in a real actor. And I know it's a money grab, meaning you got Bryan Cranston.
You,
People are
you
going
want
to
the
go to
draw.
movies, yeah.
Yeah, you
And
want
I
you,
think
you
that
want
was
the
just shortly or during his, well, what was the not bad, what was his
the
TV show?
the Netflix show.
My God, I'm drawing a blank,
Oh no, Bobby. Ah,
dude. I just
uh-oh. If
that
anybody out there knows,
Breaking Bad,
anybody,
Breaking Bad.
oh,
Breaking
Breaking
Bad.
Bad,
So,
yeah.
so
Well,
yeah, he
yeah,
was up on top. Breaking Bad was at the prime, and they did, they grabbed him. And so
yeah.
that's the only thing that makes me about that movie. I went and saw
But
it
the
in the
thing,
theater, loved it. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. I just
But you know what? I think he pulled it off. I get it what you're saying,
he
but he
did,
pulled
he
it off.
did.
He's an actor, and he's done. I mean, Breaking Bad. He's got that character. I've seen him in a lot of other movies where he plays completely different characters. I mean, he's a true actor, but he did pull it off. He didn't do a lousy job
Yeah,
at what he does.
yeah.
He did a good job.
No, and I'm gonna, one funny thing. I watch this show in the mornings called Dan Patrick Show. It's a sports
Yeah.
guy, in the morning, talk sports, and he had Bryan Cranston on his show, and you can watch it on TV as the radio show's going on. You can see it live, and Bryan Cranston brought in a prop from the Upside, and you know what the prop was that he brought in for Dan Patrick to leave in
What?
the man cave? Well, I guess there's a scene in there, he says, is that when he gets the morning of what men get in the morning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so he brought in this plank wood with the string and this thing that went up to give him, an erection. And so he gave it to Dan Patrick. Was like, this is great, and it's just funny. So I was just like, oh, that is funny how they made that happen. In the prop, he goes, we spent lots of money in our props, and this is what we came up with.
He
So I
brought
thought
it
that
to
was
him.
kind of funny. All
Yeah,
right,
no,
go
that
for
is
you.
that does make a point. Yeah, in this day and age, we rather see actors that have disabilities, but it is what it is on that. It took a long time for certain cultures to, white actors were playing certain cultures in the movies, westerns and stuff like that. So it's coming though. It's getting there. It's getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, one of my other movies that's it's kind of a favorite of mine because I had a small piece in it. Coming Home. This was back in 1978, 77 or something like that, and it was a big deal because it was the first of the Vietnam movies, and people back then they weren't sure if people were ready for Vietnam era stuff because I think at the same time The Deer Hunter was coming out and Coming Home, so they from what I understand, when I was on there, the script changed a little bit because it was a little more pretty radical because it was Jane Fonda in there, and this was all part of her project back in the day too. How she was anti the war and things like that. So there's a lot of that flavor in there. But it was for me it was fun because I was going to college and I was a film student and things like that. Was learning the communication era, but so it was really good for me to see behind the scenes, and it was a good movie. It was up. It got some Academy Awards, and Hal Ashby was one of the director, and he did a lot of other films that were of notoriety and things like that. So it's about a Vietnam guy that comes back from Vietnam in a chair, and she's married at the time to some high-ranking military guy that is looking forward to go to Vietnam. In a sense.
Is that
So
John
it's
Voight?
all
Is it
yeah,
John
John.
in
Yeah,
the
John
chair?
Voight.
God, that
Yeah,
looks like Chris Christopherson a
yeah.
little bit.
Well, you know what was cool though is because, in fact, Jeff Minnebraker from Rancho, he was one of the technical advisors on it. So um, John Voight, the level of actor he was at the time, he stayed in the chair all the time. He stayed across the highway at Rancho. They had a place called Casa, so he'd stay there and he'd live in the chair. And so
That's
he
like
got
what's that other actor name? He was in My Left Foot and he played Abraham Lincoln. What was that actor's name?
Uh,
yeah,
Daniel
I
Day
forget the actor.
Daniel Day Lewis, I think
Yeah,
it is.
yeah, Daniel Day
Yeah,
Lewis.
when
Yeah,
he played Abe the whole time, like you couldn't break him
yeah.
out of his character.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
kind of
And
cool.
so with John Voight, he really paid attention because he'd hang around with us because during the breaks and all that stuff, he'd be in the chair. You never see him walking. He'd always be in the chair. That's how he learned to wheelie, just get around in the chair pretty good. Because when you see, oops, sorry, you guys. When you see him, he didn't look like he was out of place. I mean, and the chair was cut down a little bit anyway. So he made it a point to try to be as accurate as he can for being an able-bodied in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Um, but it was good. And again, it's a Vietnam era movie. People, there were mixed emotions about because some people were for it, and then some people when they came back, they were considered baby killers and things like that. So there was a lot going on in there, but
Yeah. I
good movie to see.
think it'd be a hard movie to see compared to like I want to see the one Best of Men that you brought up, Paul, but this one looks hard. But I think I want to go to the part that you're in. Do you, do
Yeah,
you, do you say a word in that movie?
yeah. I have a speaking part, and I got some screenshots where I'm the only one on the screen and stuff. But it is a good movie. I think it's not just about being in the chair. It's the thing about war and coming back to and your determinations, your resiliency, resistance. It's all those things I mentioned at the beginning. They're all in this movie. So
Yeah.
anyway, Coming Home, and I think that's on. I think I saw it on. It's on YouTube on the Ted Turner or Turner Classic Movie Channel or whatever. So
cool.
that's Coming Home. And let's see what other one I have. Those are the.
I think you have one,
Oh, yeah, Born on the Fourth of July.
which is
Again, go ahead.
yeah. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, kind of the same thing. I think this was from 1989. So it's just, a guy coming back from Vietnam, dealing with all those issues, coming back to a society that's not really that supportive of him at the time. And plus being in a wheelchair, just going through all that. And it's what we go through. It's what, you're not only are you trying to accept the wheelchair, the disability and all that, but he's also dealing with just his emotions about being in war, going to war, and doing this and then coming back, and people protesting and people anti this and that. So again, it's just they're pretty mainstream movies. I'm a movie fan, and I just started getting back into going to movies. I actually go to the theaters once or twice a week when I can, and there's nothing like watching the movies on those big screens with the sound and all that. Because I'll come home and watch things I've seen before on my 50 inch, and it's nothing. It does make a big difference seeing them at the movie theater. If you guys can get out and go to a matinee or anything like that with any of the movies that are upcoming, uh, you got to do it because it's nice because it's usually not crowded. I go during the day, the matinees, and it's just nice.
I just wish movie theaters were a little more comfortable. Like you just can't get as comfortable as your own home.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's true, but
I
it's
wish there was a
yeah, it's a trade off for me. My wheelchair's comfortable. I won't even transfer to the other chairs because those are uncomfortable for me. But I stay in my chair and just kind of lean against the railing there that I have, and like I said, it's the sound and the size of the picture, the screen, the lasers, and it's good though. But yeah, just the movies. But if you guys all have a chance, just check any of these out. But they are pretty mainstream, so
You
they
know,
they should be easy to
this
view.
this movie touch home for me because I was still in the hospital. We went and saw this movie, and I remember they came to all of us and said, here's the movies that are out there. We already saw Batman, and we saw Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah,
And I made everybody crack up when Mel takes a guy's head in a car door and he goes
yeah,
slamming against the
yeah,
here. And I'm like, oh,
yeah,
he's going to be a quad for sure. And
yeah.
everybody started cracking up around me. But then they asked us, for those who want to go, this movie was out. And, I decided to go. And, you know, I'll tell you, after I felt the same way for a while. Um, I don't, I haven't felt it in years, but, when I think the movie, if you really think about it, takes shape of you feel different, and I think that's what his problem was. You know, not only that he had the Vietnam thing, but I think the change of you and one thing when we mentor a lot, what do people say? I can't stand it when people are staring at me.
Yeah, yeah,
You're like, wait,
yeah,
what? And
yeah.
but in that movie, it's kind of like that's what he got.
yeah,
A lot of hate
and,
and
and
a
it's
lot of staring, but it was hate that he didn't really
yeah,
need to put on himself.
yeah, and it's basically that those psychological and emotional shifts that you constantly go through at the beginning of your injury, right? I mean, sometimes everything's good, and then the next day you wake up and it's just you hate life. I mean,
Hmm.
it's all that, and then with people around you not understanding, and you not understanding because it's still new to you, and you trying to make somebody else know how you're feeling. It's there's a lot of frustrations.
Yeah,
You're just trying to make it through one day at a time, and
Yeah,
you're
exactly, exactly.
yeah, and that's what it was. I mean, I know he moved on in life. It
Yeah,
was based off of what was his name? Oh shoot,
Ron Kovic.
Kovic.
Is
Yeah,
it? Yeah,
Kovic. Yeah, he went on to
yeah,
do a lot of good things. And
yeah. And that's one thing. Most of these movies that I have, the I don't want to spoil everything if people do watch them, but they're positive. They end up being a positive movie, and
Mhm.
so that's what that's what I mean. There could be a heart jerker and all that stuff, but when you leave there, you kind of are affected, but it's a good feeling when you leave
right.
there.
All right. So I got some. I'm going to
Yeah.
bring up this first one because right after I got out of the hospital, I got invited to go see this premiere called Water Dance. Um, you can probably see it. It doesn't even really say where you can see it. Fubo. That's where it says it's streaming on with subscription. I don't or you can probably. Whoops. I don't want weather. Um, but it is a movie about a young guy. Um, Gets paralyzed. They do the filming at Rancho, Bob.
Yeah. Well, just a side note, some of the things that I would they were at Craig Hospital.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
Craig Hospital.
so it's a guy who can't handle poor pitiful me.
Yeah,
Wesley
yeah,
Snipes is in it. A young Wesley Snipes. He's the goofball, and then there's another guy who's motorcycle dude, and but he has his girlfriend, and she's not giving up on him, but he's
Yeah.
making it really easy for her to do it. And
Mhm.
and I'll tell you, don't please don't think bad. I was just happy. Don't think I'm like a pervert or something. I was happy to see the sex scene in it. Let's just put it that way,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they made it real. Like it was like, whoa, okay, because all the fears that I have about, after my accident and being young and being with intimate partner and going, I can't imagine, because that might happen. That might happen. And here it is,
Yeah.
it's shown on the screen.
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap. They did my nightmare. They actually played out my nightmare of him pissing all over the place. And, so it was kind of reassuring that this is what the public can see. But,
Yeah.
it's I don't remember the whole movie. Remember, I got to go and I met Helen Hunt. She was in it. She was the girlfriend.
That's who that is. I knew I recognized
Yeah.
that.
That's a young, very young Helen Hunt
Oh,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, Helen Hunt. And she also has another movie. Oh God, what was that movie called? But she was a sex therapist and a guy who you had to live in an lung for so many amount of days, and
Mhm.
she bears all there. But it was a great movie, a great, and I think it won an Academy Award or something like
The
that.
water dance. The
Yeah.
water dance.
So
Cool.
this is my all-time favorite. I talk about this movie when we talk about somebody in a chair, a movie, Monkey Shine.
There it is. Monkey Shine, Sam.
This is it. This is great. And once again, there was another scene, and it has to do with, you know, all movies have sex in it, sorry. And they did a good job in it, and I thought that was great. Um, but also that they did a great job on the quad. The quad that they used, I'm pretty positive he wasn't. Yeah, he's not in a chair, but they did an amazing scene for that. Uh, it's about a this guy has an accident and all bummed, and his friend, who is, I think, a scientist of some sort, um, starts injecting a monkey to make him even smarter, to see what it can do, and gives his friend the monkey to be his service monkey.
I got to
And the
check this
monkey's
out.
like all happy and doing everything, but gets a little bit too much juice and kind of goes a little bit berserk. So it's on the little bit of a gory side. You can
Oh,
see it.
great. Great. You had to ruin it now.
I know. Sorry. It looks
It
like
might
you
be
can see
scary
it.
for me. I know. I'm not
Amazon
scared.
Prime, YouTube, MGM Plus. I don't know what that is. That must be another one. But you can watch it on. But Amazon Prime might be your best bet.
Yeah.
I just
They're either on
beginning of
Prime
the year.
or Netflix, and then YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, just search it. You can probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had a total. Ken had what? A total brush on. Crush.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
probably saying
Crush.
crush on
Got a
him.
crush. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Me too. I hear you, Ken. I hear you. All right. What's my next movie? My next movie. Oh, this is. I have not seen this movie. It came up. I'm a new fan of AI when trying to think of stuff, because it is my new brain. I love that. I have
I got to
it.
learn it. I got to learn
Uh,
how to use it.
yeah. Whose life is it anyway? So Mickey or Ken, help us out. Maybe, and I'm not saying you might have seen this, because it is a 1981 American film. It Reading the description that Robert and I just read, it's a dark ass film. It's Richard Dreyfuss. So if anybody knows Richard Dreyfuss,
Might
great.
be good, man. Probably be good.
Yeah, probably be good. He wants to end his life as a newly injured quad. That's what the movie is about. So I got to go see this. I don't know where it's playing, but it came up as in AI. As I said, AI. What are the top 10 movies of somebody in a
Yeah.
wheelchair? This
I've seen it. I've seen it, and it's been a while. I know that, but I think I've seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never even heard of it till you guys started talking about it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones that I'd like to revisit because I just remember that I have little bits and pieces that I remember.
And I brought this in just because, just thought it was interesting. So something I
Yeah,
want to see. And here's another thing AI came up with me for me. I heard about it, but I don't think I've seen it.
I don't think
Me
I've heard of
before
this.
you.
Before
Um,
you,
did any of you guys see it?
I
No.
I want to say I have, but I think I know somebody who saw it who told me about it. I think is what it was. I don't think I actually saw it. I
It's
remember when it
based.
came out and talking about it.
It is based on a true story, inspired by a news story about a quadriplegic man who chooses to assist suicide. So maybe, uh, probably dark, maybe even probably off the whose life is it anyway? Um,
Maybe.
Well,
who
now
chooses?
there's a movie that was out there, and it's not on any of this list that I see or anything like that. And it's a serious movie about a guy that's a quad that wants to take his own life, that has a whole plan for it, and he's has a caregiver. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Really good movie, and it's kind of
Nope.
the same premise there.
I think you're. I think this is it because it says about the caregiver.
Yeah, but see, I think it's more of a he's an Englishman and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's funny if you guys come up with anybody out there with anything, put it in the chat because I know there's you know we're hitting a lot of movies, but there's so many out there. I think when you start thinking about it and using AI, I mean, it comes up with a lot of information.
Oh,
There's a lot of movies I got to catch up on.
Yeah.
You know,
stuff I've heard of.
This one hits home for me. It's touching. I remember early on in my SCI life that there was a book and there was uh, a man who drew comics of a
Yeah.
quadriplegic.
Yeah.
Um, oh, what was his name now?
John
John
Callahan.
Callahan.
John Callahan.
Yeah, John Callahan. And he had some funny stuff, funny comics. It was kind of on the far side. If anybody ever read the
yeah,
comics, The Far
yeah.
Side.
They
Uh,
were kind of dark and dirty.
yeah, dark and dirty, but about somebody in a chair and really saying what it is.
Oh, he had a
Um,
comedy. He had um like a comic TV show too, where there was
yeah.
I forget what that one was called, but that one was hilarious.
I think my mom bought me a big book on all his comic strips. So, and I gotta find it somewhere.
Well,
Um,
I guess one thing we need to know is that we should have a show on memory because we can't.
yeah.
I'm trying. There's a lot of stuff can't remember, man. And I think we started to do that on rolling over the hill, man. Memory.
So, um, what's great is this has, and I've seen it. It's on Prime Video if anybody wants to watch it. Jonah Hill is in it. Jack Black is in it, and then Joaquin Phoenix. And so my little thing with Joaquin Phoenix is I was the one I trained him for his role as a
Oh,
quadriplegic at
cool,
Rancho Los Amigos.
cool.
You were in one. He came to the support group. Were you there, Robert, that day?
Um, I don't think so. I would have remembered that. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah.
So don't worry, he won't get far on foot. And you know what? They asked me to be in the movie, a part in the movie, and I said no. Um,
Sheesh.
I know.
What's up with that?
I was like, maybe I was too good for my own bridges back. I don't know. I just said I don't need
Yeah, man.
it
I would have jumped
because
all
they
over
were,
that
I
just
didn't
for
get paid
exposure.
for it or anything. It was part of my job. But they
Yeah,
were like, hey, we want to give you a small part, and you had to drive out to,
yeah.
somewhere in Los Angeles. I was just like, nah. So the other guy who helped me out with him, with Joaquin, he did it. And his part was totally great because I guess John Callahan says in the movie when he was in the hospital, the nurse jumped his bones. And on the other side of the curtain, that would have been me saying with a big smile. It wasn't a speaking role. It was just Jeffrey Gamble going, hearing them,
That would have been you right there. See,
yeah,
look, we would have been talking about you right now.
yeah. So that was, so that there's my movies, some you can go for and watch. And
The
Mickey,
comic strip that he had, or the comic, or the show he had was called Quads. That goes on
yeah,
Quads.
with a Z, right? Yeah, I'm
I
pretty sure it's with a Z.
heard of it, yeah.
And then we got to sort of rush it, but Mickey was asking me about Christy Alley. So that's a long story for another day. I did a movie of the week. That was a movie of the week. It was on TV. So, but to say
And also I'd like to answer Mickey. I go to the AMC theaters in Glendora. They have matinees there still, so I like going there during the day.
hey, stop. So let's go on to some like our documentaries, and I'm going to go first, and I'm going to try to go through these. Not quickly, but my first documentary that I want to talk about is Full Circle. This you can find on Netflix. It's awesome. It's about a paraplegic who wants to do a hello, my dog wants to do a backflip on a ski jump, or like the first backflip. And it takes him through the practice and the mental, and it talks about his life. Just a very good, very heartfelt documentary that I was just amazed by. Very
That's a very good one too. That one just came out not that long ago.
Mm-hmm. This is on Netflix. Rising Phoenix. This is a great documentary. It is about abilities and the ability and the will to compete, and about it. So it has everybody from paras to amputees, you name it, they feature it. So that was great. Everybody knows Murderball.
Murderball.
Yeah.
Cool documentary. It is, it was the documentary. It broke out the Paralympics and made what the Paralympics are today in some ways. It is the number one sport that people want to watch for the Paralympics. And it is about a badass duel between Canada and USA.
That's good. It's good.
Yes, Canada won that one. So,
Side note. Murderball was invented in Canada, in Winnipeg.
Yeah, it was. I have not seen this, but I got to because I didn't know he had this documentary. It is about one of my friends, Jan Curry, who started a exercise program called the Next Step Fitness here in Los Angeles, and now I know it's across the U.S. With ones opening up all over the place. And I know he rode from L.A. to Washington, D.C., raised a bunch of money. And that's the thing. Paul, you and I could talk about this. Like, all right, yeah, you got on an electric bike that didn't acquire any assistance. You just pushed a throttle and went,
You went across on that? Like the
bowhead? That bowhead. Yeah.
Well, that doesn't count.
You know what? I'll tell you where it counts, only because he's a good friend of mine, is that I don't think I could be seated in that position across the U.S.
Oh, I know.
True. And I've tried that bike.
Now, what's his name? What's his name?
Jan Curry.
Okay. Because now there's another guy that's currently doing, is it Aaron Baker?
Aaron Baker, yeah.
Yeah, he's doing some similar to that, riding across the country.
Yeah, he
right?
did it on a bicycle. I think there's a documentary out on Aaron Baker. If you want to, those who want to Google it, please Google it. Great guy. Funny thing is, Bob, Aaron Baker, I put together his first chair coming out of the hospital.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I met him at Casa when he was doing a little gathering there, a send off. He sold everything he had a big old motorhome and a little chase car, and his wife and daughter were with him. And so, yeah, he gave up, sold everything he had and to go on the road and to, make awareness of something.
And the night I got my Lifetime Achievement Award, he got an award that night too. So.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
This documentary, Roll With Me. You can find it on Netflix. Another across the country inspirational story. He pushed in his manual chair, plain and simple.
Wow. And look,
I
you could
mean,
tell his arms, he's got something going on there. He's got some
yeah.
pretty, the
Uh,
arms look good.
you know, he only did it for his own journey. I mean, he raised some money and
Yeah,
got
but he was all
money,
about him
but
wanting to
it
do
was
it, right?
about him and his
Yeah.
journey, uh, and it gets really raw because he brings a family member with him, I believe a cousin or a nephew, and who's having drug problems, and it gets raw. But it is really good for those that want to see a good documentary. Roll with me, um, and I think for mine, is yours the gods, Paul?
No, that was yours.
Okay. And then I haven't seen it, but I know it's on HBO and it's on my, to watch list. I keep wanting
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
But Quad Gods for HBO Max, or what it's called now, Max.
Yeah. Max. Yeah.
These three guys hanging out, playing video games.
Yeah.
So I don't know much more about it, but
Got a few episodes or something. So I know I either watched part of it or I watched an episode. I don't remember.
so it's like maybe a mini series.
Maybe so.
And they're
Oh,
they're real quads,
real
not
quad.
actors.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not pretend quads. They're real quads.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Um, Bernard saying Penguin Bloom,
Yeah.
Sunlight Dream
Penguin.
are good wheelchair para movies. Don't know those, Bernard. Got to check them out. Penguin
Yeah.
Bloom and
Penguin
Sunlight Dream.
Bloom.
Sunlight Junior.
Hmm. And it says Matt Dillon plays a guy in a chair with Naomi Watts. All right.
Mickey, what are you talking about?
What?
The Oilers are going to beat the Kings. Don't.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
No. Paul. We'll go with Paul.
Documentaries. Full Circle was one I had on my list too, so we already covered that, so that's a good one. A couple that I really liked. One was called Reinventing the Wheel, and it's available on YouTube right now. You can watch the whole thing on YouTube, and it's kind of a peer mentor type movie. They really do a really nice job, and it's about a bunch of guys. I guess they're quads,
No, they
and
look.
they're
Uh,
all the main guys in the show are quads, like the main group. But there's
mhm.
lots of people in this group, and there's a fellow who's a new injury that they mentor, who's a para. It's a peer group that's still um, going today. It's out in Kelowna, British Columbia. Really good, kind of I don't know, feel good, but something that could really get you motivated. And
Yeah.
really tells this story about the importance of peer support. And we talk about that so much on all the Live to Roll shows, really. And I mean, just meeting you guys and hanging out with you guys, I've seen that so much, how that is so important.
Yeah, we kind of got
My
a
involvement as
group
well.
down here. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really good, it'd be a good show for new injuries and things like that to watch as well. So that was one of them. The other
It
one that
looks like it's a pretty current date because they all have power assists on there in those front
yeah,
things.
Actually,
they do.
this was
Yeah, it just came out, I want to say,
pandemic, around
years
the
ago.
pandemic, right?
Was it around the pandemic? Yeah, it might have been. Or
I
no,
think so.
was it after that?
Hmm,
I thought I had it up here. 2022.
2022. Okay, it was a
Okay.
little later
It's
than I thought.
relatively new movie, you know?
2020. The official
Yeah,
trailer came.
Yeah, 2020. There you go. That's what I thought.
pandemic.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
gotta check that one out.
See? I know something.
that's good. We're glad. And the other documentary that I had noted was one called The Boy Who Lived. It's the story about a fellow named David Holmes, who was a stunt double for Harry Potter in the Harry Potter movies, who
Oh,
had an accident actually on the set and became quite a high level quad. So it's called The Boy Who Lived. the David Holmes story, or the David Holmes, the boy who lived, and he's really active on social media. I believe he may have just come out with a book too.
Oh,
Um, but it's a good kind of story about his journey, how he got hurt, and after.
I
Um,
think I forgot to put this one up. Dang it.
that's okay.
Yeah, that was the only one, and that's yeah, that's on Max, HBO Max. Good
Yeah.
movie.
He also has a TED Talk out too. TED Talk. So that's yeah, he's a pretty interesting. Um, there was a show that I'd thrown out too that I thought was kind of cool that does have a quad in it. Also a British actor, and it's called Sex Education. So it's kind of a mainstream show, and it's not about the quad, but he does play a very significant role. I don't think he's in season one, might be season two and three, something
I
like that.
think he's at the end, or no, he's definitely in the second season. Now that you say that.
Yeah, yeah. But he does play a fairly significant role, and he's an actor who is a quad, and he plays a quad in the show too. So
And
just kind
it's
of
actually just a it's a good movie if or a good TV series if anybody wants to catch it.
it
If
is, yeah,
anybody was watching the what was it? Just uh, White Lotus, the
yeah.
gal who's she's in educate sex education,
Sex education, yeah,
and it is a funny story about the son and the mother's relationship. Pretty funny.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, because the mother is well, what's her name? She was on. Mm, damn it, Bobby, I've got your problem here with remembering names.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Yeah.
Uh, what? With that UFO show she was on with. Oh, you guys, can't remember.
Sucks getting old, rolling over the hill.
Guess that's why we're on the show. Eh?
Yeah.
The guy's name that's the quad in the show Sex Education is George Robertson. Um, I think he's got another show coming out too. I don't think it's released yet, but he's fairly active on social media and stuff as well. I want to throw that one out there too. So go
Cool.
ahead, Bob.
All right, I have a couple here. First one is that I got turned on to just in the recent years is Crip Camp, and that is something that because it took place more like in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, but a lot of the impact was from the 70s, and that was my kind of era, the early 70s when I got hurt, and it has a lot. I mean, watching it, it's in black and white, and just the way when you look back at 50 years ago, how the disability community was so separated, so segregated, like everything else, but there was no inclusion. And so if you have a chance just to kind of learn more about the roots, this is all about the disability, the civil rights of disability, and you know, them breaking down barriers and doing a lot of the foundation for the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and then on to the ADA in 1990. So they did it through advocacy and protests, and like I said, it's all about the civil rights, and they wanted life to be better, and they considered doing that through what they called built world, making things accessible, and it has a lot to do with everything that we are utilizing now. For us being where we're at and seeing curb cuts and all that stuff, it's all based on people that were of this era that went on to do things and make changes with society and the whole thing. It's pretty cool. It's just kind of weird to see some of the stuff because, like I said, it's only 50 years ago with how far we really come. I know we complain sometimes here and there about accessibility and stuff, and we have it pretty good here, at least where I'm at. But you figure
You,
back
you,
then it was a separate camp, summer camp. It was
you
like
know what
right before, it was right after Woodstock era.
the beauty of this movie is when these kids got to go there, these young adults, I should say, they got to be them.
Yeah.
There was nobody.
Yeah.
Their parents weren't telling them to take their meds. The parents weren't saying,
Yeah. Yeah.
don't go out, try to look, less disabled. No, and the counselors there could give a rat's ass if they were disabled or not. They could care.
Yeah.
They're like, hey,
Yeah.
we're on camp too, so they say we're supposed to watch you or something, and so
Yeah.
they let them
Yeah.
be them, and they
Yeah.
really learned how to be themselves.
Yeah. And
These
it was
guys would
it was all disabilities, all disabilities.
here, do you want to puff up,
You
smoke?
know, smoke weed. Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that?
No,
Here, no, try. You'll
it's
like
really,
it. Yeah,
yeah, it's really good. It's something to see for sure. I mean,
yeah.
just to know.
It's beautiful if you
Yeah.
really think about it. This little exclusion place in the middle of nowhere where disabled people can be themselves back then,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
where the counselors couldn't give a rat's ass if they were disabled or not, and they're like, if you want to get laid, go to the
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
use
Go
my
for it.
room, use that room.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not no, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then the second one. So I think that's a must see, really, just for the history
yeah, we
of.
talk about it a lot here. I think
Yeah.
that there's a
It's
lot of
legit history. And then my second documentary is uh, a documentary called Any One of Us, and it's a true story from 2019 or 2019 about uh, a bicyclist, action sports, just he just happened to be filming his run that day, and that's where he became a spinal cord injury. So it shows his journey, and now I have mixed emotions about it because it's all about this. This film is all about determination, and and he has the opportunity and I guess the means to walk. He was all about walking. That was what was important. So he gets some return and all that thing. They show cathing. I mean, it's pretty transparent, a lot of this stuff. But the thing is what got me, and I get it because for me at the beginning, walking was everything as well. But now looking back, it wasn't. It's more like I'd rather have more bowel and bladder control than walking. But I don't want to get into that. But so this guy, his determination, he wants to try everything, stem cell and everything like that. So what kind of I challenged was, yeah, I like the movie, and I hats off to him. He accomplished a lot. But when do you say, okay, I'm going to accept this. I can do this and this and that. He went to the very end and gave everything he got everything he could do, and it still didn't really do what he wanted it to happen. And so, I mean, accept it. I mean, there's things that I don't know.
there needs to
I
be
could be wrong.
the one thing, and you're on the right track. And hey, if you're watching, hit that like button. We got 12 watchers right now, so hit that.
Yeah, yeah.
But you know what? They need to have a follow up. I'd be really curious and maybe you can find some research what he feels now.
Yeah,
yeah, but
definitely.
I don't know. Maybe I don't want to say anything negative, but it touched me.
Yeah, well, that's me. That's where I'm at.
Attitude.
That's where I'm at.
His attitude touched me in a kind of a.
And you see that, I think I would agree. I haven't seen the show, but just listening to you guys, I was in the hospital with a guy like that too. And that's all they do. They spend their whole, it breaks up their marriage. This fella did. I mean,
Yeah.
it can ruin people's lives.
Trying to get to walk.
What? Just live. Like this happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, and that takes people time. You got to get there.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I would like if you guys can see it, find it out there, to check it out, and then let us know. But I agree, Bobby. It'd be nice to see part 2 of that, or
I'd like to see what he feels 5 and then maybe 10.
Yeah,
because I mean, we all say this, for us quads. Hey, I'll trade.
Yeah,
try this.
But me,
and I think this is probably another show. Quads accept being disabled than paras. That's a mic drop, because people might want to come on and argue, and we can test the waters one of our shows. But,
that's interesting.
because I think it's that you're almost there kind of thing. Yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong, but it's just my feeling. And I'd love to
Yeah,
test.
no, I get it. But see, I don't know. I have to put more thought to it, but I don't know because I definitely know there's difference between quads and paras, the challenges and all that stuff. But we're all in the same community, and you all have our challenges. There's some quads out there that are, uh, you know, have a lot more functionality when they leave the hospital. I see more quads that were walking than I did paras. I mean, paras would walk, but they had to have braces and things like that. I don't. That's just
I,
my
Well,
observations.
and
now,
I'll,
But
I'll I'll tell you one thing about walking paras or walking quads or anybody who you don't recover from a spinal cord injury. I don't care who you
yeah,
are. You don't get it over psychologically. You don't get it over emotionally, and you don't get it over with your body. Where I was at lunch today with a good friend of mine who's a walking para, and he's like, I hated it. I hated that people get upset with me, especially paras. Like, why do BS that you're here, and getting up out of your chair? And he's like, yeah, and I was like, that's such bullcrap, because uh, you don't know what they're going through. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
in the sense that he still has bowel issues, he still has nerve pain up the yin yang. His life is not the same.
yeah.
There's always something. Health wise, he gets sick easier.
And that's my point. We're all spinal cord injuries. So whether you're this, that, or whatever, you're still a spinal cord injury. I mean, like I said, you're right. And you don't really 100% recover. At least haven't come across anybody that's 100% recovery with a true
Yeah,
spinal cord injury.
we could probably do a whole topic.
Yeah,
That's all.
we should. We should do that. In fact.
But there's a
I
couple.
would be curious to think about age too, like what age a person gets injured and how they adjust.
Oh
If it
yeah,
is, hey,
definitely.
Well, and
Uh,
if we're talking about that guy from any one of us, he was young. Come on,
yeah,
get over it. You're an athlete. Sorry,
yeah,
that's me.
yeah. No, that's gonna definitely. If you watch that, you're gonna trying to find out where that balance is. And hey, good for him and this and that, but
Yeah.
when does he accept it?
Well, there's a couple other mentions that we want to shout out to. Champions. This is
yeah,
a great one.
honorable mentions.
Oh man, this is a great movie about a coach that gets fired, I think, from the NBA, and this is the only job he can pick up is
Yeah,
coaching these young athletes in their basketball game. They have Down syndrome, and just a good, warm, heart-feeling movie. I mean, jeez, talk about
Woody
and
Harrelson, huh? Woody
yeah,
Harrelson is
Woody Harrelson. Yes.
all right, cool. That's
Um,
gonna be pretty good.
Everybody, if you haven't seen it, you got to see it. Coda,
code is awesome.
but it's on Apple Plus, so you have to be a member. But you can give Apple Plus a free trial for a couple days. So check that one out, and then I'll push you. You see a lot of these. There's a couple of these documentaries of journeys of people who go out and push somebody that is inspired, and where that person is, they learn from each other. It's not
Yeah,
about, oh, you know I want to do this for my own good. It's about for both of them. Another good one is by Ricky and Dickie Hoyt, where he pushes his son many thousands of, or not thousands, up to 100, I think, marathons, and did the Hawaiian Ironman, father son kind of thing. And then the one they were talking about, sorry, Paul, we blocked.
yeah. Penguin Bloom. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, so I went up and I found Penguin Bloom, and I
Cool.
think Sunlight Junior. I didn't look that one up yet, Bernard, but there's a couple others, and there's tons. I didn't put up or touched on there's the Christopher Reeves one now, and
Yeah.
I don't know where that's streaming.
Then I think that's on Hulu. That's on Hulu.
Yeah. So there's a ton out there. Oh yeah, another
There's a
one.
lot. There's a
Another my
lot.
last one. Feel good. Where did it go?
Don't forget about that one. Maybe this is the one.
This
There we go. Love that one. Love that one.
Yeah, I was like, whew,
Peanut butter falcon.
yeah. Oh, we already did that one. So, oh, and did we do this one?
Nope. We
Yeah,
were talking.
yeah, we did.
The fundamental of caring?
We did a different one that was very similar to that.
Yeah, this one is no, Bob, yeah, I was telling you about this movie. This is a great one. I think we were talking about this one before. It's Paul
Oh
Rudd
yeah,
is in
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And Selena Gomez. The kid is really disabled. Wants to go on a journey to see the largest pit. I think that's what it is. And but Paul Rudd becomes his caretaker
Yeah.
because he has to do some kind of community service because he's
I remember seeing that movie. That was a good movie.
not a nice guy. Yeah, it is really good. But getting back, there's tons more. We would love to have your input and uh,
We could do more shows like it. We could always add different.
yeah. I mean, there's a ton out there. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. Full circle, we got that. So
And these
yeah,
were just ones that we've kind of looked at. Like people have so many others. There's so many to choose from.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know we're getting wrapped up, so Bob, you want to go with our sponsors?
Sure. All right. Well, let's thank our sponsors, Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. They're great at what they do, and that is providing the best in a variety of durable medical equipment, along with excellent customer service. Mobility Professionals in Southern California region, their service area. So contact them if you're in need of a wheelchair or any other DME equipment. Their sister company, Urology Professionals, can help you with all your catheter needs. They service nationally, so wherever you're at in the U.S., give them a call and they'll give you all the information and provide you with your urology supplies. So give them a call, Urology Professionals and Mobility Professionals.
I also want to thank those in the chat: Mickey, Bernard, Ken. We had Nicole. What's up, Nicole? Thank you for my wonderful text that she sent me today. So that was beautiful. Ben was out there, gave us a little fist bump, but hope you enjoyed the show. I think we were missing some of our regulars, but there's our movies. This is what we do. Make sure you check us out next week on Tuesday. I'll be back with Shawn and Tom. I don't know what I know what our topic is. I'm going to be running it. It is our Q&A. So come and join us 3:30 on Tuesday. It's our open discussion day. So maybe I'll bring that up and I get to invite one of you guys. I get one of you. So we'll have a Paul or a Robert on. And maybe we'll bring up that subject. I got to bring that up. So,
And if you haven't, go back and watch last Tuesday's show that these guys put on too. It was a good one. I didn't get to see it live. I went back and watched it.
Yeah.
About pooping.
bowel management, and Ken called me after that the next day, and we had a good discussion about poop.
Yeah. But it's a really good. It was very informative. It was a good show.
And then we got Tom up here. I've been enjoying Tom's show. Love watching him prepare food, and it just I don't know if I could do it, but he's doing a great job where he's cooking and community and just talking with the group, everyone in the chat. So loving that. I don't have it, but next Thursday is a free. The beginning of Golden Oldies because that will be the first. Rolling with the Golden Oldies. Join Michelle, Ellen, Julianne. They'll be back first Thursday of the month. Can you believe it's going to be
May 1st.
May 1st? Wow. So, and then
Yes.
don't forget our other show with our other ladies. They're on the third Thursday. I just don't have their banner, so shame on me.
Wheel Girl Talk with Brianna and Jessica and Nicole. And who's the other one?
Yeah. Sorry.
I
And the
forget.
twins. The twins.
Yeah, the twins.
Thank you everybody for watching. Make sure you hit that like button. Hope you enjoyed our films. Please put in the chat if you're watching this later, movies that you would want us to see and recommend. So we can do this again and put up your films that you would want to see and us to review and tell
Yep.
others about it. So.
Or your opinion on anything that you might have seen what we have that can be added to our
Yeah.
our
So if you're
our comment.
rewatching this, you can, not in the live chat, but you can put it up as a comment. So make sure you comment about your films that you want us to review and us to talk about the next time we review this type of show. So with that, we weren't just talking about getting older with a spinal cord injury. I'm a little bit
Now we're
different.
just talking about watching old movies.
Yeah, we love doing these. When we do our product reviews, which we got to do that again, boys.
Yep. There's some other
Now that
new
we got
stuff coming out.
Paul and Chad, so Chad will be back with us next show. With that, I say adieu. Take care.
Live to roll.